Just wanted to share my thoughts on the events that are taking place both here and abroad. There's been a lot that has been happening these past few weeks. I think oftentimes I found myself just wondering what would be the best message to put out there in reference to everything, especially since these are topics that I don't typically shy away from, that I do write about. I think this is really the message that I would want us to keep in mind while all this is happening. Hi, I'm Nana Kay. I'm the creator of the Resonant Voice collection. It is a collection that I created that would bring together different works, mainly writing together to just highlight a lot of the things that are going on in today's world, a lot of the things that we deal with as humans on a daily basis, and just really challenging us to think beyond maybe what we know. So today I'm here to discuss what do we really take away from a lot of the social issues that are happening around us right now. Well, first off, it is important that we don't dwell too long in the moments that sink us within our own world of helplessness. But at the same time, it's equally as important that we remember that these moments are here to humble us to the level of our humanity. Sometimes we do get lost in our desires towards being the superhero, being invincible when these difficult moments arise. And to do that, we try to find ways to stifle our feelings by pouring them into something else, whether that be activism or spreading the word, which all of those things are good in their own right. But I think, again, the goal is to really understand where do we go from here. What do we do with the things that we've learned? What do we do with the things that we are unlearning? So, of course, I think the most important thing is working to forgive yourself from feeling many of these different feelings, but never forgetting what has transpired and what continues to happen. In these moments, it's very important that we consider or reflect on the past. We become aware of our present and we act for our future. I really want to kind of talk about two very important points that I believe should be our takeaways from this time and just future occurrences, because let's be honest, this won't be the only time where we have to contend with a lot of major social issues. But one of the things that I would like us to take away from this time is leaning on the power of storytelling and record, which is very important in preserving narratives that would otherwise be silenced or blocked from the world record. We live in a time where storytelling extends beyond the boundaries of continents and oceans, and that's a powerful thing. But the question is, how do we plan on using that power? There are so many of us with stories that society actively works to have the rest of the world forget or ignore in order to keep us feeling like, as humans, we are less than whatever society decides we are. Our stories are forgotten through mindless distraction, artificial human connection, or greed disguised as righteous cause. But keeping with the power of storytelling, I believe that it is important to remember the stories of yesterday, remembering the stories of today, and to remember the stories of tomorrow. Really work to make sure that those stories do not get buried. I say this even with coming from my background. In my culture, when it comes to storytelling, a lot of it is oral. There's not a lot of written record, which really annoys me at times because it can be easily manipulated. I mean, written record can be manipulated too, but oral record more so. Not only through just human error, just recalling events, because people can recall things differently, or certain perceptions can feed into different things. But over time, just things get lost, things get remembered in a different ways, and stories become altered in those regards, or they eventually get lost. I've always been interested in just the topic of storytelling, as you can probably tell, but then also the idea of keeping record of said stories, of people's accounts, because I think that really it lends a lot of understanding to societal contexts, different societal contexts. So I would say channel all these stories through mediums that would see these lives behind them mean something. We really need to start valuing each other and preserving the value of the human being, and that does begin with storytelling. The second thing that I would want us to take away from these times is learning how to challenge ideas. I think so often I see, and this is going to kind of feed into things that I've written about already, whether it be through essays or through my poetry, but we can get into this combativeness where it's like it's just a matter of butting heads rather than being able to challenge ideas. And the reason why I say challenging ideas rather than challenging people, because I feel like challenging ideas is far more powerful and far more reaching than challenging people. Like, say you have a conversation with a person and they have a different opinion than you, and then you guys talk about it and you guys go back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth, and then you're telling them that they're wrong for whatever they believe, and then already they're shut out from even listening. It's human nature to be defensive with whatever you believe in. That applies to every single one of us. I say challenging ideas because there's so much behind a single idea and what makes it tick, what goes into an idea, what holds it up. It extends far beyond a person. And I believe hitting the root of understanding what those ideas are, why people choose to follow them, and really bringing the historical context around why some of these things persist can build a better bridge of understanding, in my opinion. To get to this point, it takes commitment, it takes patience, and it takes the willingness to ask questions of ourselves and the world around us to grow in that wisdom. And in a time where there's so many things to really distract us from thinking for ourselves, which I'm obviously a huge advocate for, critical thinking really needs to come to the forefront of a lot of our conversations. Not in a way to one-up each other, not in a way to beat each other down, but in a way to really preserve the truth, get to the heart of the truth, preserve it in all its entirety. And I'm not talking about like your truth, my truth type of thing. I'm talking about like just overall context. We need to bring that back to the conversation because it's getting more and more lost in a lot of noise that is happening. Again, it takes patience. It takes the willingness to understand, the willingness to ask questions. One of the most important lessons I've ever been told growing up is don't be afraid to ask questions. And for some reason, that lesson has stuck with me through time and will continue to do so. It has governed every single decision that I've made in life. Like, is there always maybe something more beyond what I'm seeing? Is there something that I haven't considered, another angle that I haven't looked at? I'm always questioning myself, my world. That isn't to say that I'm not certain in any decision I make. Obviously, I've survived up until this point, being concrete in the decisions that I make. But it's just a matter of recognizing that we're not perfect human beings. We're not perfect by any means. There are things that we will miss. There are things that we will misinterpret. We're flawed beings. And our willingness to question parts of ourselves and question the world around us is, whether it be a celebration or a recognition of that flawedness. Just to sum it up, and I know I said a lot of things here, but I just want to sum up that the two things I would hope we can take away from these times is leveraging or leaning on the power of storytelling, leaning on the power of keeping narrative record. So that way we can build more understanding about ourselves, about each other, and just about the events that drive our world. And of course, the second thing is being willing to ask questions and challenge the world around you. There are people and powers in our society that benefit from us not questioning things, not trying to understand things. I've spoken about this, I've written about this, the fact that we are moving in a direction where we're being taught more and more to be reactionary rather than really sitting to think, reflect, plan, organize, and enact a plan of action that would see us grow together, see us unite. So, yeah, sometimes when I do this, I wonder if I'll make any sense, but that is I don't know if it's the best way I could have put things, but it's what I got here. So hopefully you were able to take away something from that.